Well, that can't be good.
It's that time of the year again. The time of year where about 6 or so people gather here so I can talk about a dying game that nobody cares about. But this year's a little different because this year, well, I'm a month late. And also, the game is actually dead. So maybe it was a massive lapse in judgment to build a channel with the plan of talking about the same game once every year, when everyone was saying that that game wouldn't last another year. Joke's on them, it lasted 2 more years. But it definitely was a lapse in judgment. I did know that the game was doomed before I started this, but I had hope. So without further ado, let's pull a weekend at Bernie's and let the corpse of Avengers shamble out one more time to do some parade waves. When I started working on this video, I had no idea where I was going with it. The game hasn't really had any big updates in the past year to justify a video like the one I did last year. I actually planned on having this done months ago so I could get it out quickly to hit the 2-year anniversary deadline in the first week of July. And then some other videos slipped, this one got put on the back burner, and the next thing I know, it's August. A whole month after when I intended to put this video up. And to pile on, as soon as I figured out where I was going with it, Austin Eruption decided to do it better than I ever could. But I feel like I still need to close out this trilogy, so I'm going to try anyways. But if you want to see an Avengers video made by somebody that's actually good at this, then go ahead and watch Austin's video. But don't go now. Finish this one first. When I first talked about Avengers back in 2021, when I couldn't find a light switch, I didn't really know what I was talking about. And I had 0 experience doing this. Now I have 2 full years of experience, and I still have no idea what I'm talking about. Since they haven't really given us any content of substance, I want to retread through everything Avengers to put a nice little bow on this trilogy before we get to where Avengers is now, and I guess make 2 videos completely obsolete. So let's start with the launch. In the lead up to Avengers launch, I was all over it. The concept of a Marvel game with a large cast of heroes running through missions with friends sounded like it was going to fill that Ultimate Alliance-sized hole for both Xbox and PlayStation. And for some of us, it did. And for some of us, it did such a good job at filling that hole that we thought we should make 3 videos about it. I ended up getting my copy of Avengers about a month after launch and dove straight into the campaign. And I liked the campaign a lot, all the way through. I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed the story being told to me. I'm not saying it's the greatest video game story ever told. It's no Last of Us or Uncharted. There's no need to make a TV show or a movie about it. The campaign wasn't without flaws. I think it focused a little too much on Kamala Khan. Now I like Kamala Khan as much as the next guy, but we're playing a game called The Avengers, and you don't really get to play as the Avengers until the last 2 missions of the game. It's more like a video game adaptation of a Kamala Khan and Hulk buddy cop movie. Also, if I ever have to hear the term embiggen again, I'm going to stick my head in the oven.
Embiggen!
Hey, there's some schmutz on this middle rack. Somebody give me a towel.
It was a little obvious that they were trying to hype up Kamala for her MCU debut, because around this time she was starting to pop up a lot more in bigger and bigger stories. It just seemed a little weird for her to take the spotlight when she's not even the front and center character on the box. The front and center character on the box is actually dead for 90% of the game. So I have a lot of questions for the marketing team. But like I said the first time I talked Avengers, I still enjoyed Kamala's story. Her mentor-trainee relationship with Bruce Banner was heartwarming to watch unfold. A lot of the big set pieces from it still live in my mind, like when Tony Stark is running through his house slowly grabbing all the parts of his makeshift Iron Man armor, or the Hulk fight with Abomination, or Iron Man flying into space, or even the whole tutorial section. Well, not that part of it. So what I'm saying is, I still stand where I did the first time on the campaign. It was fun, decently written, and well worth the time to play it. But this time, when talking about the game after the game, it is a little strange, because now we've seen the full live service of Avengers play out. Kind of. After the main story is done, the game starts to feel more like an Avengers game, with 3 story expansions adding new heroes to the roster, time traveling, and taking on world-ending threats, building up to a big story climax of a Kree invasion. The first DLC, Taking Aim, introduced the best character in the game, Kate Bishop, along with new missions, story additions, and cosmetics. which was followed up by Future Imperfect that introduced Kate Bishop again, but bald, more story, more missions, more cosmetics, and an entirely new location. Also the masterpiece that is this Hawkeye mouth animation. They really just gave up on this game, huh?
And their location? We think Maestro's involved. We can't let him mess up our timeline.
And then that was followed by War for Wakanda, introducing Black Panther, a new HQ in Wakanda, new missions, new story, a new location, new villains, and a complete overhaul of the UI and gear system. Each update kept getting bigger and better with each installment, and it really looked like Avengers was about to make this crazy turnaround. That was, until Spider-Man. I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. I haven't played Avengers since about a month after the last video, and when I went to get footage for Spider-Man, I just couldn't control him. I don't know why. He just kept jumping on this pole. Spider-Man was something that was promised early on for PlayStation players. That was also expected an entire year before they actually got it. Spider-Man dropped with nearly no content other than a basket full of cosmetics. But Spider-Man's lack of content isn't really much to complain about, because Spider-Man was exclusive to only PlayStation players. Why would they make a mass amount of content for only PlayStation players to play and alienate the rest of their player base? But when the Mighty Thor Jane Foster released next with the same bare minimum level of content, I could tell something was off. Although I should have noticed something wasn't quite right when they quit giving each hero a room on the Chimera after Kate Bishop. We got 5 more heroes after her. Where they sleep? And that's a general summary of everything I covered in the last 2 videos. Which brings me to the next update on November 29th of 2023, bringing the same level of bare minimum content of a new hero, this one being the Winter Soldier. But this update changed it up just a little bit with the addition of an Omega level threat, the Cloning Lab, which we will get into a little bit later because that is very important to the major topic of this video. But while we're here, Bucky plays like a combination of Captain America and Black Widow. But if you watched my other Avengers videos, then you probably know that Cap was my favorite character before Kate came along. So obviously, the Winter Soldier's combat is pretty solid for such a minimal update character. I was impressed with how well his combat flowed. The balance is incredible between his big red glowing metal arm punches and his full-on assault rifle. I really wasn't sure I was going to like this character before I played as him. Black Widow's guns were never something I was crazy about using, but they were alright. If Black Widow's guns were a nut in a can of mixed nuts, they definitely wouldn't be almonds. They'd be more like a peanut. I was also a little concerned because he didn't have a shield, and the best part of Cap was his shield. The shield was an almond for sure. So I figured I should explain that joke because no one but me and my wife will get that. I eat almonds by the handfuls in the amounts that it could kill 3 horses if it were baby aspirin. But I don't buy the regular almonds because they're not as good. I specifically buy these massive cans of mixed nuts that contain peanuts, almonds, cashews, hazelnuts, and pea-sands. But I don't like hazelnuts because they're like the grossest nut on the planet. Why would you ever want to eat a hazelnut? So I eat them standing over the trash can, and I just throw the hazelnuts away and then inhale copious amounts of almonds. Oh, hold on, I think my pancake video is running out. Let me run that back. Sorry. So yeah, so I eat like handfuls of the almonds, and they're the number one. But peanuts are also in there, and they're kind of like a mid-tier nut. Like, I'm not mad about them. They're not going in the trash can pile like the hazelnut, but they're no almonds. Sorry for that interruption. We'll get back to Avengers now. But in no time, I was into the rhythm of switching between his long and short range, throwing in a grenade, invisibility, or a rage attack here and there. But when it comes to his traversal, that is not nearly as exciting. He doesn't inherit Cap's double jump, so he's really just like a regular dude. It's like bald Kate Bishop all over again. It makes sense for the character of the Winter Soldier, because he obviously cannot double jump. But when you're running with people who can fly, web swing, and teleport, it makes the Winter Soldier look like a kid that got a flat tire on a bike ride. Just want to slide this in here. I also like playing Thor a little more than I used to, but I still think his hammer throw feels weird. But I don't avoid playing him anymore, so I've grown as a person. Winter Soldier also has his fair share of cosmetics. Some Marvel movie skins, astronaut suits, old army outfits, and one that makes him look way too old to be trying that hard to look cool, or as I call it, the Tommy Lee costume. That makes sense now. But that's it, and that's all we'll ever get. Because on January 20th of 2023, an Avengers War Table announcement dropped with the sad news that Avengers would see its last update on March 31st, with all official support for the game ending on September 30th. Along with that, the game and all its content is said to get delisted from digital storefronts, but as long as nothing breaks after September 30th, then the game will remain playable in online and single-player modes for those who already own the game. But if something breaks, that's just the way it is, because Crystal Dynamics also stated that they will not be able to provide any support after that time. So like any day now, Avengers could look like an old Call of Duty lobby. Just a hacker-riddled disaster. But this announcement also came with some good news, I guess. All cosmetics that would have cost money before are now free and automatically unlocked, and all the battle passes are gone. And this really should become a practice for all of these live service games at the end of their life. But at the same time, it does take a little bit of fun out of the grind. In the last Avengers video, I talked about grinding out loot crates for new skins. Those are just gone now. So the only point of grinding is for level ups. That's it. No takedowns or emotes or cosmetics. It's all unlocked for you now. Sure, you can deck out your Avengers any way you want to now. But it kind of takes some of the excitement out when you go to show your friend and they have all the same costumes you do. So it kind of makes it a bad thing to have everything unlocked, right? No, absolutely not. Now, 4 people can all be dressed as furries and not one of them has to pay a dime. Would you rather have 4 of this rescue you in a dark alley in the pouring down rain? Or would you rather just get mugged? But that update also means that we will never get to see the end of the story. Remember earlier when I mentioned the story ending with a Kree invasion? Yeah, we never actually got to see that. We got a lot of build-up and hype to it when we went to the Future Imperfects and saw what the Kree invasion was going to do if they didn't go back in time and fix it. But now, thanks to the shutdown, there's no hope of ever seeing how they fix it. How was that story gonna pan out? I have no idea. Avengers has become the My Name is Earl of video games.
Earl! Hey, Crabman.
And that's where Avengers is left to die. Grinding for no rewards, fighting the same 5 villains, waiting for the end of each week to see which of the 3 weekly events is going to get cycled next. So in the same place it's been since launch. Since day one, I have been an Avengers apologist. And I know the back half of this video has been loaded with complaints about the current state of Avengers, but I still stand by this game. I know I said before that the problem with Avengers was a lack of content, but looking back on it now, I don't think people liked Avengers from day one. By the time the game had launched, the in-game hype had started to die down, and we were headed for the era we're currently in of, I guess these Marvel shows are alright. Do you know anybody that watched Secret Invasion? Me neither. The Avengers didn't look like the mainstream Avengers everybody knows. We'd already seen enough live service games flop by this time that just the words live service was enough to completely turn people away from even thinking about playing. So by the time people that did play it said that the story mode was actually pretty good, the game had already been written off by the masses. But the in-game content did definitely hurt the game. It wasn't that there was a lack of content, it was that most of it either never released or was incredibly delayed. I'm not a developer and I don't know why this stuff happens or how any of it works at all. But we never saw characters that were leaked around the game's launch like She-Hulk or Ant-Man or Captain Marvel. And 2 years ago, a couple of streamers, one of them being IGN alum Fran Mirabella, ended up playing the Cloning Lab Omega Threat when it was accidentally set live by the dev team for a short moment. And the Cloning Lab just released in November. 2 years later. Why were they sitting on content like this? Why was everything delayed so far out when the live service updates were completely mapped out? That is information that I will never know. But what I do know is that under all that poor planning and mediocre live service mechanics is a story worth seeing through. And 3 story expansions to go along with it that you and some friends can have a really good time with if you don't care about seeing the end of the story. You can pick up this game for $5 now, and that sale price will probably stick with it until it's delisted. And that price is very much worth it for even just a game preservation standpoint. Because if this does end up getting delisted, Maybe in 10 years you can sell your PlayStation with it installed like it's an iPhone with Flappy Bird in 2014. And with that, the Avengers trilogy is over, and so is my yearly obligation to make a video about it. But if you want to see me in a Groundhog Day-like time loop of reviewing Avengers over and over again, then let me know in the comments and subscribe so you can see when those Avengers videos get uploaded. And if you want to support me more than that, go ahead and buy a shirt or a beanie over at blaster-goblin-shop.fourthwall.com or at the link in the description. Avengers, disassemble.